Ready to go.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it, brother. It's been an honor. You know what I mean? And let's do this. You ready?
All right. Absolutely.
So what's going on, y'all? Thank you for tuning in to Half Hour Power with your brother.
Opinion.
My man. So what's up, Nate? How you feeling, man?
I'm blessed, man. I'm feeling blessed and honored to be on here with you, man. Chopping it up.
Man. Listen, man, you my guy, man. I remember the first time I met you. In fact, I think I met Tamara before you. I came over our buddy Les' crib. You, Tone, Ty Lewis, y'all was in like this heated Uno game.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
So Tamara, I guess Tamara don't do Uno. I guess you know.
Nah, she
was sent to the side, and I was just forced to sit with her, and she let me know all about sociology, psychology, and everything about her job. So I got to know her before you, man.
Yeah, I was locked in on the Uno. I don't play.
Yeah, that's a
I'd be locked in with that.
But speaking about mental health, I mean, I just want to dive right into it. Like, what are the pros and cons of being a mental health advocate, man? Talk to me about that space.
Yeah. It's an interesting space. One, because I didn't necessarily grow up knowing what, mental health was, right?
Right.
So for me, I got introduced to it as a young adult, and it started to put pieces together for me. And I started to realize like different things that I seen as a child, as a kid. I'm like, oh, my uncle had mental health issues. This person had mental health issues. We never addressed it. Once I really started to get the education about it. And as an advocate, the pros are, really helping people who are in that dark spot. That's something I've been huge on since I was a kid, just helping people and pouring into people. Those were the values that was instilled in me, and being able to help people with your testimony, with information, with love, all those different things. That's the beauty in being a mental health advocate. The cons, if there are any, the cons would be, I would say the stereotype of it all, or the way it's being misused right now because it's a buzzword in such a way.
Right.
It's bad. What it does is it dilutes the message, of what it means to be a mental health advocate, or to be someone who is trying to empower themselves and really increase their mental health and mental wellness. So it makes it less severe when it's actually very severe.
You actually see people out there that's using that title, that platform in a bad way. You actually are exposed to that.
Yeah. I see people who are trying to profit off of it, because again, it's a hot thing right now. So people who don't necessarily support the movement of trying to get people out of the darkness, they may profit off of it by making T-shirts.
Wow.
I remember one organization, and obviously I won't say the name, but I remember one organization saying that they were going to take proceeds and donate it to this place or whatever. And long story short, they never did that. They exploited people for the message of it. And don't get it wrong, having the message on your shirt is powerful, but at the same time, it's like, oh, you're in this for the dollars. You aren't in this to actually help people. Right. And to me, that was an issue. But there are people who are exploiting it because it's the hot thing. It's a buzzword. It's the hot topic. And you hear it a lot now, way more than you would have 5-10 years ago. You hear NBA players talking about it, NFL players,
it's
celebrities. It's a wave. And the good thing, the pro is like, okay, we're recognizing this and we're addressing it so people can get healed. The con is it's being like watered down. Gotcha. So people who have issues, they aren't getting the treatment and the attention that they really need.
Well, I'm glad you're not one of them, because I'm a huge fan.
Hey.
This should be a best time. My thing all inked up. I can show you a bunch of, I got stuff in here just to get, look, with that, can you see? Identify triggers, you know what I mean? I got stuff underlined, and You know what I mean? But I call you King Quote. You like the quote. You know what I mean? Nate, you the quote king, man. But one of your quotes, one of the things I love, you said, bad memories are like trying to grow in bad soil. Like, talk to me about that. Talk to me about that. Like, that quote just touched me, man. Like, is it something you experienced, or, just talk to me, because that's a powerful quote, man.
Yeah, for me, it was, holding on to things of the past, expecting to still grow instead of, planting my seeds in better, more fertile soil so I can live more abundantly, be more fruitfully. And it took me a while to learn that, man. It took me a long time to learn that. I had to really learn where should I plant my seeds to really grow those roots. And for me, I needed fresh soil. I needed more positive soil. I couldn't necessarily dwell on the things of my past because that stopped me from growing every single time. But when I was able to reflect on that, understand that, what I'm saying, let's understand that, address it, I was able to then take my seeds and plant them in, better soil. So now my harvest is plenty.
Right. How vital is it for a young man's mental health to see whether his father or other men just be vulnerable? How is that beneficial to a young man's mental health?
Yeah, man, it's to me, it's crucial,
Really?
especially in African American communities. It's crucial because we operate off what we see and what we feel, not necessarily what you say, especially as kids. It's like, I don't remember much of what my parents may have said to me as a kid, if anything, you know what I'm saying? But how they made me feel, the way that they express
I
themselves,
think Maya
it's
Angelou
huge.
says that.
Yeah. Maya Angelou says that. And that's
Yeah.
huge, man, based on what you show. And growing up as a young Black male, if you were to see Black, strong men be vulnerable, this now becomes your new normal.
Got you.
So you become okay with that. But if you don't see that, you see the opposite end of it, of guys holding it in and then lashing out, hitting women, different things like that, or breaking down and having these mental health issues, or running up in a spot, shooting people up, going crazy. These are the things that become normal to you, and that's dysfunction. So for me, growing up, the things that I seen and in the environments that I was in, it was dysfunction, and
Right.
dysfunction became my new normal.
Yeah.
Until I
Yeah,
addressed
I can relate. I didn't grow up seeing a man be vulnerable, seeing a man and being emotional, a man being transparent, a man just
yeah.
being like, like, wow, like I see the other side. I grew up with just that was soft, that was weak, or
Mm-hmm.
man, what, you gay? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, it just wasn't. Maybe my grandfather, maybe my dad, maybe my uncles, maybe it was I don't know what it was, but my question to you is, when did you see that? When did you first get exposed to that?
One of the first experiences, I talk about it in the book, was at the gym.
Okay.
My boy Tone took me there, just being around other men. My good friend Ty Russ, and then we had our other guy KD. They worked together, and I just remember transparent conversations in there. And I'm like, "Yo, dudes, be talking about this kind of stuff."
It was
And they started
brand new, huh?
opening up. Y'all, it was brand new, but at the same time, it was
How
refreshing
old were
once I
you?
got comfortable. This wasn't that long ago, so I want to say 24, 23,
So it took
around that age.
20 plus years for you to finally have your aha, like, wow, I'm not that bad.
Yeah, I'm not alone either in the
Right.
way I'm feeling. And then also, these were like if you see my dude Ty ain't no small dude. Like, he's huge, like on some like different type
Really
of
big.
level stuff. Yeah, they call him Big Ty. Like, that's my guy. And for him to be transparent in the way that he was, I'm like, hold on, this
So when
this
you
is
first
different.
heard it, you thought he was soft, or you just was like, oh,
I was more so confused at like what's going on. And then I realized like, oh, that's the normal of who he is, and the way that things should be expressed. He didn't harbor those feelings, and you know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, why didn't dudes do that growing up? And I noticed a lot of dudes who weren't about that street life or whatever it was.
let's answer that though, Nate. Like,
Yeah.
why don't Black men do that? Like, what
I
is it?
mean, I can't answer for all, but what I believe is it's just stigmas around it of who we are. You know what I'm saying? That we
Kind
have
of
to
like the
be.
examples I gave, then kind of.
Yeah, we have to be
Yeah.
a certain way to be respected, especially by our women. You know what I'm saying? And we have to be this tough, hard exterior, all these different things. This bravado provider kind of dude, So we do these things, and like I said, a lot of times it's for our women. But when
Right.
we're transparent and vulnerable, we are seen as soft. And
Right.
that's something that has to change, because that's when
Right.
we're our strongest. Because when you're transparent and vulnerable, that's the hardest thing to do. To open up to somebody that you close to about some real stuff that's happening, or some
Trust
real feelings,
issues, man. Right.
man, it's so much easier to hold it in. And that's when the weak behavior traits show up, when you just hold stuff in, when you don't address your issues. But when you have the courage to, hit up a therapist and go in there and talk about that real stuff that's going on,
Right.
that's real strength right there. And that's when you're mentally getting stronger, I truly believe.
I agree too. I agree with you. When did you know you were depressed? Like, when did you know? 21, 25, 16? Like, when did you know, like, yo, something's wrong with me, man?
I knew when I want to say it was 20, it's probably like 21, 22. I want to say, when we had got evicted. I remember getting evicted from my mom's house. It was all me, my brothers, my mom, my nanny, my grandpa, three of my cousins. We were all standing, and I remember getting evicted and trying to figure out where everybody's going to live during that time frame. And that's when I was in like one of my darkest
That'll
spots.
cause a depression.
Yeah, that was the first time I hit a dark spot. Like I was like, even when my papa passed away, I was depressed, but not nearly as depressed as I was when all that happened. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a culmination of him passing away, trauma I dealt with as a kid and as a teen, bouncing around from school to school. And then this was like the nail in the coffin with
Right.
this. And it was just like, okay. And that's when you start thinking about like suicide and things like that. And you're like, okay, I
Wow.
really am depressed. But even in that moment, when it got so severe, I didn't go like, all right, I need to go seek help. It was like, okay, how can I mask this pain so nobody knows? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So
I think I always wonder, like, I want to touch on that because I wonder, is that a part of mental health? Is that pride? Is that arrogance? Because what I'm learning when I look at our populace is people seek stress relievers more than removing the stress. They rather get stress relief instead of, stress relief.
Mm-hmm.
No. They seek stress relief, but they don't remove the stress.
Yeah.
And it's almost like what I hear is, oh, if I could get that house, if I could get that car, if I could get that marital covenant, if I could get that job, if I could just move over there, if this, if that. And they don't even know that they are depressed, bro. And it's like they focus on getting something to relieve instead of like, why do I want all these things?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's my real motive? And I see a lot of it got to be in likes, it got to be in comments, it got to be selfies, a me generation where like you're just seeking a stress relief instead of removing the stress. So my question to you, and it's kind of like a hard question, how do you overcome you stressing you? Like, do it make sense?
Yeah. No. I get
you know
it.
what I mean? Like, how,
But I get it. For me, it goes to extreme ownership of me. You know what I'm saying? It goes to, okay, God has, created you and made you who you are, but he's giving you free range to pretty much take care of you and manage you. So it's like, I got to really realize like, okay, yeah, this happened when I was a kid. Yeah, this happened when I was a teen. Yeah, this ain't my situation. This ain't my fault that this happened. But ultimately, how I handle these situations is all up to me, no matter what. There's influences that try to influence how I operate and how I handle certain things. But ultimately, it's down to Nate. You know what I'm saying? You can't change it. My mom can't change it. I can't go back and call nobody. They can't change how I behave and what I do. So when I realized that, I'm like, okay, you have to show up for yourself. You need to look yourself in the mirror like, okay, this is the situation. These are the cards you were dealt. How you going to play this game to win? And that's just the reality of it. A lot of times people are like, man, my cards is messed up. I'm trying to switch hands for somebody the whole time in life. They're trying to switch hands. And it's like, yo, just play what you got. Like,
right.
You trying to switch hands, you can't. Play what you got and go to win the game. And that's it.
Thank God you got a hand. If you don't have a hand, you don't have life. So you may not have a lot of kings and queens and spades and well, whatever card game you playing, but I understand your logic. It's just like you still have a hand.
Hmm.
So how was it when you had to force to look yourself in the mirror? Because like you said, if it's you,
Hmm.
I love the word you said, ownership. Eventually you had to cut the phone off, cut the TV off, and just look in the mirror like, yo, Nate, what are we going to do? Like, how was it looking at Nate Evans Jr. in the mirror? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was very challenging at first because it was new territory and it was scary, man. It was a lot of like almost shame and embarrassment at the same time too. Because ultimately, you know that you have to address yourself. You know that you are the problem in a lot of this. You
Okay.
know that you have the control.
Really?
So for me, it was a
Right.
challenge of like,
Wow. I ain't never look at it because a lot of people say I'm a victim of circumstance.
yeah, that's because they know they're they not the problem, but they know that they have more control than they think they do.
Got you.
And it's like I don't want to take that control because it's difficult because I don't feel like it. So you know what? I'm gonna blame the circumstances and I want to be a victim. And that's always the worst way to take out because
Which
you're
is
not a
bondage
victim.
because you never make victory.
Yeah, you never and what that means is somebody has control over you if you're a victim. I'm never gonna be a victim. It ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm
So
saying?
even though X, Y, and Z has happened, you still got to look in the mirror. Even
And you still
though
gotta look in the mirror.
I'm sorry that she was in an accident. I'm sorry he or she cheated. I'm sorry that, you know, these things happen. You still have to look in the mirror and say, I still have a hand. I
You
still got
still
a
have a
couple
hand.
cards.
And you still have it, and you got to see that, man. And that's where the blessing and the stories come from, where you can be an inspiration to somebody else. Because when you're a victim, man, you're no help to nobody. I know many people. We got mutual connections of people who went through terrible situations. You know what I'm
Yes, we
saying?
do.
Car accidents, all of that, and they just like, man, I had two choices. Be a victim or a victor, and I chose victor out of this because
Yeah.
ultimately I still have to live my life. So it's what I'm gonna live my life with a victim mentality, like, oh well, and just stubborn, or am I gonna take this
Well, there's
situation
a
and make the most
colony
of
of
it?
those. How they say it, birds of a feather flock together. Like
Oh,
you'll be
facts,
in a
facts.
certain pack. You'll just be over there with them.
Misery loves company, man.
Yeah.
Misery
Yeah.
loves company, man. And I challenge people to get out of that space if that's you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not a victim, and you
What
shouldn't be treated as such.
what role has faith played in your life and your
Um,
development? What role has faith played in your development?
it's been everything. So I grew up in the church
Okay.
since probably since my earliest memory. I'm pretty sure as soon as I was born, I was there. But faith was always huge for me. It was one of the things, like even as I would say, separated myself from God because God doesn't move. He's here, but he's not separating himself from me. But when I separated myself and kind of went out into the world and kind of was over church and over this because of church hurt and things like that, there was still a part of me that had this faith that everything was going to work out.
Praise
Like,
God.
all right, like it was always this part of me that still prayed that night, when
Train up
nobody
a
was looking.
child, he will not depart from the way.
Yeah. That's real. That's real.
You
But
know
that was
what I
always a
mean?
part of me. Even when I was doing like the worst stuff, it was part of me like, yo, I know things are gonna get better. You know what I'm saying? I always had this like optimistic thing, and that attests to my faith just growing up. And now my faith is the strongest thing that I have. And talking to you earlier about it's like that analogy of the cell phone. It's like I got my cell phone light on, it's dark. I can see the next 2 to 3 steps in front of me, and that's all I really need.
Oh, amen.
I don't
Yo,
need to see the entire. I don't need
yo,
to see the entire hallway. You know what
man.
I'm saying? I'm good off the 2 to 3
Oh,
steps
man.
because I believe that God's leading me in a
That was
direction
powerful.
that's much better than I would have led myself. It's like being in the maze. You know what I'm saying? And it's all these different ways. I'm like, all right, I can see everything. Which way am I going? And I'm running around the maze, or it's like, you know what, God, like I'm gonna shut the lights off. You're still in the maze, but if you follow this light right here, these 2 3 steps, I'm gonna lead you right out this maze, no problem. I'm gonna go ahead and take that direction. Like, okay, because honestly, I don't know where to go anyway. I'm in the maze. I'm
Right.
lost. So
Right.
it's like I'm gonna go ahead and take your lead because you know something that I
You don't
don't.
know, like I don't know what I'm doing down here anyway. I think I do.
Yeah, I think. Oh, I can see down. I think that's it. And then you run into a glass wall. And you're like, oh
Right.
man, hold on.
Yo, speaking of mazes, please read that book, Who Moved My Cheese. Please, it's a short read.
Yeah.
Please read that, man.
Yeah, I'm
And
excited about that.
but speaking of books, I want to get back to another book.
Hey,
You know what I mean? Isn't that how they
the
do it?
blessing,
What they
man.
call that boomerang? We're gonna do our own
Yeah.
boomerang. But I want to talk about your pop-up. You wrote in one of your quotes, you wrote, he was much more than my dad's father. He was a mentor and my best friend.
Mhm.
And I just want you to talk about him for a little bit, because you talked about him a lot in this.
Yeah, yeah. He's I mean, the main reason I wrote the book was really like a dedication to him. And even when I say he was much more than my dad's father, he was a mentor and best friend. What I believe is relationships they transcend titles. So yeah, he was my pop, but ultimately it's like it didn't matter. We were that close. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you have other family members or other people. Like it's not a hierarchy of who you love more. You know what I'm saying? It's more so like we connected in such a way, and he loved me in such a way that I felt like he was a best friend of mine. You know what I'm saying? Someone who mentored me without even saying much to me, to be honest. It wasn't like he was sitting down just dropping wisdom on me. He would show me through his actions. And I learned so much through how he operated throughout the day, from the morning when he got up before we all got up every single day without fail, to how he got us out of bed, had us eating breakfast every day while it was hot, going out, doing stuff in the community. All of this, having a household, taking care of an entire family, all of this off of like a third grade education.
Wow.
I'm like,
Great.
man, this is all this is all of the schooling I need right here if I want to learn about leadership and taking care of my family. Because he's modeling that behavior every single day. Again, he never sat me down like, yeah, I just want to drop this on you, this. That just wasn't his style. He was, from down south, Alabama, real old school. He doing this thing. He outside fixing the car with a button-up shirt on, tucked inside of his dress pants, and that was just
He was
his swag.
smooth with it, huh?
Yeah, that was his swag, man. He
He was
chilled for a little
smooth.
bit. You know what I mean? Fix his cars, clean up the house, do the yard. He teach me how to cut grass, all that stuff. And, helping other people within that community where we lived on Cedar Lane. You've been out there with us. Yeah, just
Yeah.
helping the neighbors going by, seeing what they need. Like just seeing that, I'm just like, man, that's it taught me so much through his actions
You
that,
think about him often?
yeah, all the time, all the time. And just, thinking about the lessons and the things that he instilled in me, and if I'm doing them correctly. You know what I'm saying? And then also seeing where there may have been gaps that he had, because obviously no one's perfect. He wasn't perfect. So it's like, how can I step up? How can I take a part of, him, a part of my dad, a part of this, the good parts that are beneficial, and how can I add my part onto that? So when I have children, they have some of Pop stuff on there that he taught me. They got
Nice.
some of dad's stuff, all this stuff, and then they can take it
Nice.
and put their own little flavor on it, and we keep this thing going on.
Yeah. What life event occurred that revealed to you that you had the grace to inspire others? Like what happened where you was like, yo, you know what? I can do this. I could do this right here. I can do public speaking. I can write. Like what happened where you was like, yo, it's time?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what happened that was it's two things. One is funny. One is actually really funny. And this was before I really knew the gift or, where God was leading me. But this was in high school. We had this thing called Mr. Greyhound, which was like our school kind of like talent show almost.
Okay.
And because our whole thing was like a greyhound, like our mascot was a greyhound for the school. So we had this big thing called Mr. Greyhound. I wasn't going to do it because I'm like, nah, I ain't about to get on stage. I'm introverted, all that. But my boys, all of my friends was doing. I'm like, all right, I guess we doing this joint. So I did it, and it was funny, man. It was like 3 segments. You come out with a suit on, let the crowd see you. Y'all
Okay,
come
you
out,
was jiggy.
and then yeah, y'all do that, and then you come out with another segment, like a funny segment where you're doing something funny. So I came out and did the Carlton jump on it joint. And I had like this cut up shirt, and I had on like these little short shorts and dress shoes. It was funny. So I did that. And then I lip synced this song by Shy. It was like, and if I am. Yeah, we like did a lip
Yeah.
sync joint to that with me and my boys, and they thought I was really singing.
Really?
They thought I was really singing. The lady was in the front, like, this was incredible.
Really?
Like, they thought I was really singing. I ended up winning. I won the whole thing, the whole competition. And then
Oh man. So you was an introvert at heart, but you came out.
came out, bro. And then like the week after that, I remember winning like prom king. I was like, this is crazy. But
Really?
it was all of this stuff, man. And my cousin Mookie, he's funny, man. He was calling me Mr. 08. And it was just like this whole thing. I'm like, this is a real thing. Like he's calling me Mr. 08. And it's like this influence. I'm like, man, that's crazy.
Wow.
But when I realized that I had the gift or this calling to inspire, it was It was when I remember teaching a fitness class in Philadelphia. Well, me and Les, we were doing any training stuff. We did this fitness class in Philly. We used to be just popping up anywhere, bro, like anywhere, and people would pop out. So we popped up in Philly, promoted this whole event. We really didn't even know what we was doing. We had mad people come out to this joint called the Dungeon.
Wow.
It's called the Dungeon. It was like an abandoned building, and they had this top floor that was just like nice. And one of my dudes out there, Lewis, he does poetry. He has this thing called Voices in Power. He set it up for us. We got vendors. We had a we had a girl there doing massages. We had supplements, like all this stuff. We was going in, bro. Like we really went in. And I remember leading the whole thing. It's like 30, probably like 40, 50 people there, and just leading this whole thing. And I remember just like kind of like encouraging and inspiring people in a way where they were just pushing through this workout like they never trained before, like they was going hard. And I remember the feeling after that and the embrace that I was receiving from other people after that. And that's when I was like, man, this is dope. And then shortly after that, you know, a few years later, I remember writing my book, and I was watching Tony Robbins. He has this documentary on Netflix called I Am Not Your Guru. And I was like, I really want to do this. Like, I want to do this. And I set up my first ever like book event, which I still have the video for. I got to send you that. It's really dope. I set up my first ever book event at the this yoga studio in Atlantic City where we connected. And I remember selling tickets for it and everything. And I had like 30 people pop out, buy books, everything. And I remember speaking. Les was there. I set up a panel and everything. It was me, Les, my boy Ty, this other woman named Ashley. And we went up there and I spoke about the book. I spoke about principles from the book and everything like that. Wow. And I had them speak as well. We were sharing life lessons. People was crying, all types of stuff. And people bought books, and they was signing them. Like they was like, hey, can you sign the books? Literally after the event, I had a line full of people like hugging me and signing books. Books. That's when I was like, oh, you have something to share of value that's going to bless people.
But you definitely have blessed me. You are doing what you do, and it's inspiring to me. And we at 27, a little over 27 minutes. We only got 2 minutes and some change left, but this last segment is really going to be about you. I had another question, but we're going to go over, and I just want to honor the time. And it's really about you, and there is some ground rules. I'm going to just run you off 12 questions.
All right.
You have to pick my answer.
Okay.
You have to pick my answer, and we just go from there. So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
It ain't that bad, bro. It ain't.
I'm ready.
And you was like, are you ready?
Man. Yeah, yep.
Beyond Burger or sushi?
Sushi.
Eric Thomas or Nipsey Hussle?
Oh, that's crazy, bro. Like what? I'm gonna go with ET because ET was first before I knew Nipsey Hussle.
Fusion Church or Transformation Church?
Fusion, that's my home.
Speaking or writing?
Writing.
Doctorate or masters?
Masters.
Cardio or yoga?
Yoga.
Pleasantville, New Jersey or Hawaii?
Pleasantville. That's my home.
Depositing 5 figures or donating 5 figures?
Donating 5 figures.
Robert Evans or the Pope?
Robert Evans.
Giannis or Durant?
Oh, Durant. Come on.
Influence or wisdom?
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Wisdom.
Tamara or Jesus?
Jesus.
I know. That was a trick, John. But brother, man, I love you, man. I appreciate you, man. Keep up the good work. You know, I mean, we brothers for life, man.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I appreciate you, man. I love what you're doing with this. This is fire. Appreciate it, man.
I mean, you know, we'll rap, but I holla at you. All right.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
Man. This is your brother, Opinion.